It's going well. I think we're making a lot of progress. We've got a big list of people to bring in, and we're just going to follow the trail to see who is actually calling the shots and operating the autopen in the Biden White House.
Neera Tanden was the first person that came in earlier this week. From what I can tell, and you were there, she admitted that she was in charge of the documents into and out of the Oval Office, Joe Biden's desk, and she had authority to use the autopen. That sounds like it's pretty incriminating.
It's pretty incriminating, and she was a good witness. She answered all the questions. She was very forthcoming. But the startling thing is she wasn't around Joe Biden very often, and that she wasn't the one that decided which documents went in. She operated the autopen, but she was taking directions from what appears to be Ron Klain and others on the inside. So now, obviously, our investigation is going to be moving to the people on the inside. She was the staff secretary, the president's secretary, but unlike Donald Trump's current staff secretary and Obama's staff secretary and the Bush staff secretary, she didn't interact with the president very often. She was kind of what appears to me to be shielded from Joe Biden a little bit. So we're going to bring the people in that were calling the shots. We believe she was the one that actually used the autopen, but she wasn't the one that determined what to sign with the autopen and what not to sign.
Is there something you're honing in on, like the ones that I'm most interested in that I think, Milley, Cheney, Fauci, their pardons? I believe that Joe Biden had an interest in, giving his son a pardon and his brother. But the other ones, do you have any evidence so far to suggest that, they just blew off the president and issued these pardons?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out. Neera Tanden didn't see Joe Biden ever authorize by signing his initials on the memos that she would receive that would say to use the autopen. She wasn't, Joe Biden wasn't around her when the autopen was in use. We know that many times the autopen was used when Joe Biden was in the White House. Why didn't you just have Joe Biden sign it right there in the White House? So, there's evidence that would suggest that there's a possibility out there that Joe Biden wasn't calling the shots. And then you look at all the Democrats in the Jake Tapper book and what we believe will be in the Jean-Pierre book that suggests that maybe Joe Biden was in significant cognitive decline and he wasn't the one calling the shots. So that's what we're going to try to determine, and we're going to bring everybody in. We've subpoenaed several people, including Dr. O'Connor, that will be coming in. So we have a lot of questions about the medical reports that Dr. O'Connor published. He published report after report saying Joe Biden was in tip-top physical condition. Now we know he has, stage 3 cancer. We know that from the debate performance and from Tapper's book and other interviews that Joe Biden was in decline. So the question remains, who was calling the shots? And if someone was using Joe Biden's signature, essentially forging his signature, then those pardons and those executive orders could be declared null and void.
By the way, do we have a law on that? All presidents use autopen, right? The Eagle Scout. You become an Eagle Scout, you get a letter from the president. I don't think the president actually signs that.
Yeah.
Where does it? There has to be a cutoff line, and if there isn't a law, maybe there should be a law. But do you have a law right now?
There's really not a law right now, and it's exactly what you said. Presidents use the autopen, just like I use an autopen or Jim Jordan or anyone else in Congress, to sign correspondence to the massive amounts of messages that you get. But no one uses an autopen for legal documents. I can't use an autopen to sign subpoenas. That's my legal document. Subpoenas. I have to fly back to Washington, D.C. just to sign one piece of paper. But what we've learned is Joe Biden was in the White House. He was actually in the White House, but for whatever reason, couldn't or didn't sign the documents, but they would have the autopen sign them, and they would go through this bureaucratic deal to where there would be a memo sent out to Neera Tanden, and she would then take the documents and place them in the autopen. This seems like a lot of unnecessary steps. Just have the President of the United States sign it. The fact that he didn't, on top of the clear evidence of his cognitive decline suggests a real possibility that Joe Biden wasn't the one calling the shots.
Well, take a look at this guy and keep this in mind when you talk to Anthony Bernal, Jill Biden's top guy. Now, I hate this fake news book, but I have a feeling they talked to this Anthony character. As Jill's power rose, so did Bernal's. Biden aides would say that she was one of the most powerful first ladies in history. And as a result, he became one of the most influential people in the White House. And also this, doesn't sound like the nicest guy in the world, he was a constant source of gossip about Biden's aides, which he passed along to the First Lady. Gosh, that West Wing can be so catty and nasty under Democrats, at least.
Yeah, what we're learning, there were factions within the Biden White House. There was definitely an inner circle. I don't think Neera Tanden was actually in the Biden inner circle. We think we've identified now from her transcribed interview and other sources who the inside circle was. Certainly Bernal is one person that we believe is in the circle. That's why I've subpoenaed him to come in, and we're going to hear from Ron Klain. We're going to hear from many others in the Biden administration. We're going to bring everyone in that anyone identifies as someone who had authority over that autopen. And we're going to get answers for the American people as to who was actually calling the shots at the Biden White House, and more importantly, whether or not all these executive orders and pardons that were signed with the autopen are valid in the future. And that's a big deal. That is a significant reason as to why this investigation is needed.
Hey, one more thing. We are coming up almost on the one-year anniversary of the assassination attempt on President Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In my mind, there are so many questions that haven't even been asked, let alone answered. The work thus far has been inadequate, I really believe. Some good work, but not sufficient. I just don't think that this thing can be, all right, that's it. Commission, blue ribbon, something else is needed, sir, in my opinion.
I agree, and I'm hopeful that Kash Patel and Don Bongino will give us some more information. I believe they have as much access to that as anyone. If they want us to lead an investigation, we'll certainly do it, but it's my understanding right now that the ball's in the FBI court, and they will be the ones that will hopefully tell us who this guy was and whether or not he was being paid or influenced by outside sources.
All right. Congressman James Comer, Republican Kentucky chairman of that House Oversight Committee. You guys do such great work. To be continued. Can't wait to find out the rest of this and read the transcripts. I know they're very, very valuable. It's the best format to do them in. Yep. Congressman, thank you.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmidt tonight on Newsmax.